Okay, everybody, I'm going to jump in here and do a little narration here just to let you know what was going on here. Basically, a play-by-play. Now, at this point, those of us on the Marine side, we're wanting to determine which of our landing craft had the demolition teams and which of our landing craft were HQ teams or headquarters teams. Basically teams with officers, and you can see there that all of the landing craft had numbered tabs next to them, and those corresponded with a list that Rob and Jason had produced to let you know what each landing craft contained, which is pretty cool. So yeah, we really needed to know that. And we also had our unit cards, amazing unit cards that Rob produces, and something that I will need to do as we move forward here for those custom unit cards. Amazing. Now here you can see Scotty, there's Scott there on the end. He's touching the dice there. He's already taken a lot of fire from that sunken, looked like an old tugboat that had been occupied by the Japanese forces. He was taking a lot of fire from that boat. And we could not call in our air support yet. We had to have a officer team or an HQ team up on the beach. So our goal here was to get up on that beach. Now you see here the Japanese have their cards laid out, and we basically divided it into left, center, and right flank, each player 3 versus 3 facing off against each other. Great game. You can see here my right flank, I was helped by a gentleman named Jim. We came right up into the barbed wire there and just started unloading and walked and waded ashore essentially. So yeah, you see all the smoke and carnage here of the landing craft that were taken out as they came in. There was several Japanese gun emplacements, and once we did get a team ashore, you can see my guys getting out there, wading ashore. The Japanese latrine there, right coming out from the beach. We get up to that seawall, and we were able to start calling in artillery support and also calling in air strikes. We could finally start taking out that Japanese artillery pieces. Was really wreaking havoc on that left and center flank of the Marine. So we just worked through it bit by bit. It was a pretty long game. It was a total of 6 hours. We did take a 45-minute break at one point in the middle of the game. We had the Kingfisher aircraft hovering overhead, which was our eyes in the sky, as it were. A lot of great detail on this board. I really got to hand it to Rob. You can see around here as the day progressed, it was just packed. Absolutely packed. Off in that back corner there was some bolt action going on, bolt action tournament. Lots of activity. I would say that this venue at Origins is probably 80% board gaming and card gaming, and about the other 20% miniature gaming or miniature war gaming. You can see here as we look out over the beach, we're slowly inching up. Now you'll see that here in just a second that left and middle flank really start making some headway. There's my unit. My HQ unit was ashore up against the wall, and several units being pinned. Now you see that Japanese little circular marker there. That was an indicator that that unit had been pinned by the Japanese. Another turn, more troops coming ashore. A couple of my landing craft were actually leaving the scene, and 2 more landing craft pulled up and disembarked their Marines into the barbed wire and back up and onto the shore. Now there were 3 waves. The first wave pretty well took almost 100% casualties on the left and the center flank. There was more gun emplacements on the left. We had that sunken boat that was occupied, and you see here that's the Japanese in real life at this actual battle. That's why they position those posts with the barbed wire on that the Marine right flank, the Japanese left flank, in an attempt to basically funnel the Marines into the middle of the beach. Very historically accurate game here, the way the board was designed by Rob. Just a lot of fun. As far as I'm concerned, these military battles like this, the best way to play them is 3v3, 4v4, and having these team participation games. It just makes a huge difference. So now we're just slowly working through the rolls, calling out our shots, and getting those Marines up on that beach. Here we are, he's moving up his second wave of landing craft, coming through the carnage. And we were doing pretty well here on this right flank, and then towards the end part of the game, we really started falling apart. I started taking lots of casualties from some anti-aircraft guns that were targeting us, and those emplacements on the beach were just really starting to take their toll on us. However, we did ultimately take out the whole first line of the Japanese emplacements. You see Alex in the background. There's plenty of food there, guys. If you ever want to come to Origins, all different kinds of food. There's a Hilton, a Sky Bridge to the Hilton. There's a Hyatt. If you want to go a little more highbrow. So lots to choose from. Now the Japanese are starting to get concerned at this point. We're really starting to make some headway. Starting to get Marines up on the beach. And the seawall, just like it did in the original battle, started working against the Japanese at this point, because now the Marines are able to use that seawall as a cover. So we're staying along that seawall, we're lobbing grenades, we're mounting attacks into the trenches. I was able to get a couple of my flamethrower teams up there, and we did some havoc with the flamethrowers. One of our players unexpectedly left the game. We had another player come up and fill his position, and he had a good time as well. They were trying to piece together last-ditch defense efforts. We got more landing craft coming in. I think really the moral of the story here with this battle was that the Marines just kept coming. The Japanese were really limited on their manpower and equipment, and once we started to whittle them down, especially their artillery, their anti-aircraft units that could fire at the Marines also, besides just shooting at the airplanes, us calling in artillery, bringing in aircraft, we just really started to whittle them down and get to the point where they just couldn't stand up to us anymore. And basically, Rob called the game, and the Marines were victorious. You see there the palm trees, how well those turned out. It's just really added a huge amount to the game. And he modeled those so you can use them with 28 mil. You can use them with 40 mil, skirmish games, bolt action, 15 mil. So here the game is really winding down. We're really getting units up and at those trenches and those emplacements and getting at those Japanese troops. I want to take a minute here to really thank Rob Rhodes and Jason Rowe for putting the game together, hosting the game, doing all the legwork, getting the models painted, collected, transported, and basically providing us with a fantastic game. And thanks for coming along for the ride today, guys. If you get a chance, please come on down to downtown Columbus, Origins. Next year, I'm sure we'll have another great game, and we'll see you next time.